The Russian martial tradition dates back over 1,000 years. Defending the homeland and the family has always been a matter of the greatest honor and importance. And a completely unique and powerful style of fighting was born in the old Russia. The rare documentary footage that you are seeing in this film was classified for many decades. And now, for the first time, you can get an idea of how unique the training and the skills have been for the special groups in spецназ. This is how the Russian style originated. All through its history, this huge nation has had to repel invaders from the east and west. They all attacked with their different styles of combat, unique weaponry, and different mentality. The battles happened on different terrains, during the freezing winters and sweltering summer heat alike. Russians often greatly outnumbered by their enemies. As a result, the Russian warriors had to acquire a style that combined strong spirit with creative, intelligent, and versatile tactics, practical and deadly, that would work against any type of enemy in any circumstances. Moreover, most warriors were not soldiers by trade. Once a battle and remained natural and free, with no strict rules, particular structure, or limitations, except for moral ones. Following the Communist Revolution of 1917, everything traditionally Russian was discouraged by the authorities, and this unique fighting system was reserved for the elite units of the special forces. There, it was further perfected and continuously used in covert military operations and by bodyguards of the highest level. In this videotape, you will see professional defense by Vladimir Vasilev against different knife attacks while empty-handed. The techniques shown are an excellent study material for people with no martial arts background and can be acquired easily by the more experienced fighters and professionals. More advanced tactics will be taught in the other videotapes. Overhead strikes. Let's look at some details of when a knife comes from the top. One of the instinctive defense moves is to raise up the arm. You contact the opponent's arm with the inside of yours. Then you raise your elbow, twist your forearm, and rotate it around the arm. Pushing on the flat part of the blade, easily remove the knife and then use it as necessary. For example, cut or stab the throat. Let's watch this again. As a variation, you can grab the opponent's wrist and then rotate your arm. This way again, you push on the blade, forcing his hand to open, take the knife away, and use it as required. At a faster speed, it is easier to remove the knife, and this movement is very effective. If you are weaker or more tired than your attacker, you may need to work with your two arms for defense and for striking. You grab with your left while your right arm rotates around his. Then try to bring your body as close as possible to immobilize his arm. Using leverage, you remove the knife and strike with it. Hit his knee and bring him down. Let's see it from the other side. If you work properly, you make the attacker cut himself with his own knife. Otherwise, remove the weapon, not letting the opponent move by grabbing his hair, for example. And then you can cut or stab in many different ways. And here it is more quickly. Now you step back and contact the knife at the stomach level. Start contact with your wrist, twist around and grab the opponent's forearm. Bring it up and the knife close to his throat. There is a good chance of cutting the throat. Otherwise, knife and cut this way. Now watch it at fast speed. You can also meet the strike with your right arm. Rotate and grab the wrist, take away the weapon, and stab the attacker in his stomach. Strengthen the stab using his own. Watch this again. Once you have grabbed his arm, make sure you keep it in line with yours. This way, you will avoid being cut. Then, push on the flat of the blade as you continue to twist his forearm. Thus, you are forcing his fingers to open the bowl of the knife. Then, it is easy to strike in the stomach or grab his hair and bring the opponent down and do other finishing work. And here it is at regular speed. Here is another defensive tactic. Lean back the strike with both hands. Position them as slopes of a roof. Divert the left hand and hit the base of the skull with your right. Then grab his hair, rotate him down towards you, twist his wrist, and direct the knife to his throat. Here you meet the strike with your right arm, make a circular movement clockwise to your left hand, and continue the movement. Meanwhile, your right hand pushes and rotates him, then use your hand or foot to strike. Watch carefully the position of the hand. Another way of taking away the knife is applying pressure on the flat of the blade with your fingers. As you see, this is a more advanced technique. The position of the arms is more complicated, and there are many variations of the painful locks and finishing moves. Let's break it down into components. You extend your arms forward, your left hand meets the opponent's elbow and leads it in. Your right goes under his wrist. It is easier to raise the opponent your right for two reasons: in order to weaken his strike and to enable you to do the lock easier. See here, you use your chest as the second point of support to create the painful lock. Your other arm is then free to remove the knife. Watch it again. The last part of this technique is different. The pressure of your chest to the opponent's elbow is a very effective pain compliance position, and it leaves both your arms free to raise his head and strike the throat. In this next tactic, you meet the knife with the back of your right hand and lead it down clockwise, turning your palm down in order to control and hit the attacker's hand or wrist against your knee. When the knife flies out of the hand, you grab his fingers and bring him down, assisting yourself with your leg and then finishing him off. This technique is very effective for people who have the skill and flexibility for using the legs. You see from the knife attack, and you can either help yourself with the right hand first and bring the opponent's arm down, or hook his hand with the top of your foot right away and then kick sharply. This makes the knife fly out of his hand and you can control him further. This is a segment from a training session by one of the best Russian masters in the world. He is the teacher of Vladimir Vassilyev. Those of you who understand body movement will appreciate how subtle and deadly this work is and how free a person can be defending against a knife. Middle level or straight strikes. This is what you can do when the knife comes at your stomach. Step to your left and meet the opponent's wrist with the back of your right hand. Your left hand moves under his elbow, raising it up. Your right hand now is free to strike. You make a whip-like strike to his wrist, fingers to open, and you can complete your tactic. Watch this again. You can also hit the knife out of the attacker's hand using your one arm only. You contact his wrist with the back of your right hand, bring it around turn your palm up at the same time, then strike the wrist. It's very important here to keep your arm relaxed to allow for greater power, speed, and maneuverability of your movements and strikes. In the next technique, you step towards the opponent and bring your body against his elbow. Your right hand hooks under his wrist in order to break his arm. When the knife falls out, you can complete the technique according to the situation. What you do here is contact the opponent's wrist with the back of your hand, move it away from you to create the space for a strike, and again produce a whip-like strike on the wrist to make his hand open. Make sure it is completely relaxed for speed and power. In the next technique, you defend yourself using both arms and making the opponent cut himself with his own knife. You step outside of the attacking arm, the back of your right hand contacts the opponent's wrist, while the left goes under his elbow in order to assist with bending it and enable you to bring his stomach. Then you apply pressure to his elbow, bring him down, and finish him off as necessary. Here, you let the knife come in, bend his arm to cut his stomach. Your right arm pushes his elbow and grabs the hair. Then bring him down and stab the throat. Lean your chest onto his elbow, this way using the strong onto weak principle, and letting your right arm be free for further strikes or other work. The following tactic is hitting the knife out of the hand. Your left forearm to his wrist, and by way of twisting, diverts it to the side. Then you strike his wrist with your right elbow. After the strike, the elbow pushes his wrist down, then you can strike the throat, kick in the stomach, and break his arm against your knee. In this technique, you avoid the knife by hitting it out against your knee. Your right palm contacts the attacker's hand while your left grabs him above the elbow in order to prevent him from pulling the arm back. In the meantime, you raise your right knee up to his forearm to create a point of support and then strike the wrist with your right hand and complete your work. And this is how you can hit the knife out of the hand using one arm only. Hand meets the opponent's wrist, and then your elbow strikes it. If that does not make the knife fly out of the hand, you then strike it again with the side of your hand. Here is another technique. As your right hand approaches the attacker's hand, you step as far as you can forward. Once you are behind the opponent, push behind his knee, grab his clothing or hair, and pull him down. Watch this again. In the meantime, hit his elbow against your knee, make his hand open, and finish your work. Here you step sideways, your right arm slides under and wraps around the opponent's forearm. Then you lock it towards your chest using both arms, lean your chest down on it, take the knife and stab. The pressure of your chest down, and using your knee and foot, you remove the knife. In this tactic, you see how to kick the knife out of the opponent's hand with your knee. Before you kick, sweep his leg by placing your right leg behind his and throw him off balance. While he's falling back, he cannot protect himself, and it is easy to strike the knife out. Hitting the weapon out of the hand is done with strikes to the pain areas of the wrist and back of the hand. Makes the opponent open his hand involuntarily. Strikes to the pressure areas should be whip-like. Side strikes. Arch your body forward, lock the arm, rotate it, and take the knife away. Your arm stays behind the knife. You lock the opponent's wrist inside your arm, assist yourself with the other arm so that the pressure on the wrist forces him to open the hand. Then take away the knife and cut. From this side, you can clearly see how it happens. And here is one way to control your opponent without cutting him. Now you control the attacker's hand with your elbow. Your arm does not block the strike, but follows it along without breaking contact. And directs it towards your left hand. Then you can hit him behind the knee and bring him down. Watch this again. It is very important to keep your arm relaxed for a quick and powerful strike. Here is another defense tactic. Contact the opponent's forearm with your left arm sideways. Then grab his elbow with your right hand and first rotate it towards you and then away from you and down. Then bring him down. This small rotation is very painful. This is an advanced technique. Go down on your knees, both arms come up for contact, one stays to control the knife, the other strikes the groin and pushes the knee. Then the elbow comes up to the chin and strikes the throat. Afterwards, you take the knife and cut. Here is an example of work by direct contact with the blade. You place your wrist under the opponent's and twist. The flat of the blade is against your forearm. Take a look at this again and continue with bringing the opponent down. Here is another quick and effective work on the blade. Turn sideways to your opponent, meet the knife on your forearm, and rotate it towards you and around his arm. In this rotation, you use the leverage and the knife flies out of his hand. In this technique, you lead the opponent's wrist away from your body with your left hand and then hit his hand with your right fist to force his fingers to open. Then it is easy to take him down by twisting his fingers back. This is what you can do when the knife strike is coming higher. Step to the side and meet the opponent's forearm with your arm bent. This way, you extend his movement, which gives you more time to respond. Your other arm comes up, bending his elbow. Then bring his hand to cut his own throat. You can see it closer now. Knife at the stomach, back, and throat. Here you turn your body to the side, then press the opponent's hand against your stomach. At the same time, move your body forward. The coupling of these two forces makes the knife come out of his fingers. It is very important to stand straight to avoid the cut. Turning of the body can be done in both directions. In this position, you can avoid a cut or a stab by arching your chest forward. As you see, the knife that passes by your throat. Along with that, you place both hands on the opponent's wrist, lock it, and lean your body forward. Pain makes him go down, and you can strike as shown here or take away the knife. Now, your left hand protects from a cut and places the attacker's hand inside your elbow. Having locked his arm, you lean your chest onto his elbow. You should lift your left shoulder up along with the arm in order to protect your face. It is important to position your right arm to catch his wrist. Afterwards, the pressure of your chest causes pain. You can then place his arm on your thigh, which leaves your arms free for other work. Here is another way of defense in this position. You hold the opponent's wrist between your palm and thumb to prevent him from moving the arm back. At the same time, you step forward. As you see, it is difficult for his arm away. Then your right forearm hooks his elbow from the outside and pushes it down, while your left brings his hand away. This takes the opponent down. You can also grab his hair with your left hand while your elbow controls the knife. As you can see, there are many variations to this technique. You can his neck, the face, the hair, the eyes, grab the skin, his clothing, or choke him with his clothing. And this is how it works quickly. From this dangerous position, you push the attacker's fist down with either hand depending on the situation. As your left hand pushes his fist down, your right raises his elbow, making room for you to come through. To be sure to avoid the cut, your chest has to come forward. Once you've passed under his arm, grab the hair or push on his elbow with your forearm and take the knife and cut. Here you push the opponent's fist down with your chin to get the knife away from your throat. Also raise your right arm to make the knife move even further away. To make sure that you don't cut your right hand, slide it along your face and take the opponent's hand. And then turn your body around to his back. During quick work, the chin and the right arm start moving simultaneously. Another way to continue is to come around under the attacking arm. Watch this again. When you avoid the knife here, make sure that it moves to the side where it does not cut across your spine. Push the knife sideways and then press it towards your body. Then you lock the opponent's hand under either arm and turn around sharply, thus removing the knife. slashing movements. One of the most dangerous and difficult types of work is defense against slashing or cutting movements of the knife, when the weapon keeps moving along both simple and complex trajectories. The important skill here is to be able to work with the different parts of the body simultaneously, to move regardless of the position of the others. The body should be relaxed for quick evasions of the knife and for instant counterattacks and whipping strikes. Another important knowledge here is how to work on the blade and wrap the attacking hand around you. Since the knife is approaching your body anyway, do not reach for it with your arms, but try to receive it closer to the body. This way, you avoid the cuts and achieve more control. In real situations, at higher speeds, the work is usually done upon contact with the knife. In this part of the film, You will see moments from the training classes at the School of Russian Martial Art, as well as from various demonstrations and tests held at the school. You can get an idea of how effective the Russian style is in any area of combat, including tactics for punches and kicks, chokes and holds, grappling and groundwork, defending yourself and using a stick, a knife, a belt, a military shovel, a gun, work sitting and lying down, against multiple opponents, fist fighting, knife throwing, and much more. Most of these topics will be covered in our other videotapes. You will also see such fascinating materials as the work of bodyguards, the body language, special techniques, and exercises taught at IB and GRU facilities only. If you have any questions or comments about what you have seen in this film, please do not hesitate to contact us. We will be glad to hear from you.